Well, glory be and mercy me, we've done it yet again. Here we are, walking through the graveyard. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I wasn't gonna do a video today, straight up, because there's not much going on in the news, right? Everybody's taking vacation, everybody's doing things. I mean, I could report on stuff like Biden extending the hold on student loan payments and say something along the lines of, well, you should just get rid of those student loans. But I mean, like, it's gotten pretty obvious now that they're not going to do permanent solutions, right? Nothing like that is actually going to happen in serious ways for anybody. They've had all of the opportunities in the world in order to do meaningful change for people. And eliminating student loans and eliminating the student loan system would be kind of a step too far for a culture that refuses to actually give healthcare to its own citizenry. Like, baby steps. Baby steps. And when it comes to the United States, it's more falling on your butt than it is actually walking when it comes to any of this kind of stuff. But instead of talking about any of that, I think I'm going to be talking about just like, what is it that we're doing here, guys? Like, what is it that we're doing here? What is the point of any of this? What is the purpose of being alive? What is the purpose of any of this? And the more and more I dwell on these subjects, and the more I dwell on this idea, the more I kind of think to myself, there doesn't seem to be much of a purpose, is it? It doesn't seem like we're so hyper-focused on some kind of end goal, some kind of end point, that we kind of miss the forest for the trees on this one, I think. Like, there's this kind of interesting rebut that I've heard recently to this idea that, well, nothing matters. And someone said, well, if nothing matters, then the only thing that matters is what you do. And I've been thinking on this more and more. And there seems to be a real truth to that. That if nothing matters, then the only thing that matters is what you do. And yet most of us spend the majority of our time doing things that we absolutely loathe, doing things that we don't want to do, doing things that we know are hurtful and harmful, doing things that we know are enormous compromises to our integrity and to who we are as people, and yet we do it anyway, because we're trying to run on this game of survival. We're just trying to make it through. We're just trying to exist in this plane of reality. And right now it's getting more and more difficult for many of us to see why we should bother with that. There's a reason why suicide rates are up. There's a reason why everybody is feeling depressed. There are reasons for all of this. And the reasons couldn't be more straightforward. You mean to tell me we're supposed to spend all of our time grinding away in a machine that no longer even pays our rent, no longer even pays the bills, and all of the things that make life worth living we're not allowed to do? And there's no end in sight for the foreseeable future? Oh, and let's not forget about the climate change catastrophe that we're simply not even acknowledging as a problem. And the people who do acknowledge that it's a problem seem perfectly fine with doing nothing about it. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? If our country was a household, it would be on fire, like everyone would be fighting one another. And I can't help but come to the conclusion that the reason why it is like this is because we don't really want to admit that we're all just scared little monkeys. That seems to be the case, doesn't it? That seems to be the truth, doesn't it? That at the end of the day, we're all moving in the direction that we're moving, and we don't want to stand up and take a stand and be courageous or any of this kind of stuff, because we're just scared little monkeys clutching hold of what is directly in front of us, reacting to the environment as it is, right? Not actually thinking about it, not actually taking the time to even attempt to understand even a little piece of it. That those of us who have managed to grab hold of something that is actually feeding and clothing us and maybe giving us a little bit of a leg up are just shrugging and saying, well, fuck you, I got mine. And this idea that, oh, we should structure things to actually help people or any of that, nuts to that. I'm just going to move on, keep my head down, keep digging into this system, and, hope I die before any real consequences come my way. Outside of, death itself. And even if we do contemplate the concept of our own deaths, like, we know it's there, we know it's looming. This COVID period has been like a looming reality. Our culture has been faced with its mortality collectively, and it has revealed cracks, let's say, in the culture. The image of an old man powering his way into a Walmart without a mask on, while people around him ask him, sir, you have to put your mask on or you have to leave. And he's flipping them off and having a little temper tantrum about it. This image of that man is burned in my skull and has become somewhat emblematic of who we are as a people now, and what this period of stress has done to our social consciousness. And it's not like it created anything new, but it definitely brought it all to the surface. It definitely brought it all to the surface. And we're all just supposed to keep moving on. I think that's the part that gets a little worrisome for me. That we are all just supposed to, oh yeah, COVID came through, yeah, sure, 800,000 Americans dead, right? Like one in 100 people over the age of 65 have died, yeah, okay, right? Like, let's just keep on moving, right? Keep on working, keep on pretending like you just keep your head down, everything's totally fine. And I don't know that I'm able to do that, or interested in doing that, or willing to do that, or whatever word you'd like to use to describe what the belief that, hey, maybe we should pause for a minute as a people. Maybe we should pause for a minute as a people and actually talk genuinely and honestly about how harrowing this all has been. And it has been harrowing. It has been difficult. We should have a national day of mourning. I've been saying this for quite some time. We should have a national day of mourning where we acknowledge what has happened, and we acknowledge who we have lost, and we acknowledge what is going on in our culture. At the end of World War II, we created a day called Remembrance Day, where November 11th we pause and we remember in the hope that we will not repeat the same mistakes that led us to that war. And while that has had mixed results, certainly, I think it would be nice. I think it would be nice for us as a people to come together and look at one another and say, hey, we are not just cogs in a machine that needs to perpetually run for whatever reason, so that the Kens and the Karens can have same-day delivery from Amazon. We're human beings. We have emotions. We have an inner life. We're ruled by our desires and our drives and our wants and our angers and our passions and our furies. And we pretend as though we've got a grip on it, but we don't. Not really. Not really. And so I think it's important for a people who have such emotions within them to pause together collectively and take stock of one another and to think, what was this experience for? What did we gain from it? What did we lose? What did we learn? Who are we? Who are we? And what is it we want to accomplish while we're here? It can't simply be that we are meant to grind away at these jobs that are on offer by a billionaire class so that we can amass under them more wealth than the ancient pharaohs had. To what end? For what purpose? For what goal? At least the pharaohs were building pyramids. At least the pharaohs were pursuing some kind of scientific inquiry, trying to do something of value. What are these billionaires doing exactly? What are they doing exactly? This absurdist idea that they're going to go and terraform Mars while they fail to terraform the planet that was built in order to sustain us perfectly. What a joke. What a joke. I would prefer we not be a joke civilization in the end of it all. I would prefer we build something that has meaning. I would prefer that the generations that come after ours look back on what we have done and think, those people tried to do their best for us. I think that way about my grandparents. I genuinely believe that that was a generation of people. They went to war, they fought the Nazis, they built highways systems, they built railways, they built nations, they fought evil, they worked together in order to build a better future for the generations who were not yet even born. And what are we doing? We're facing a climate change catastrophe, and all that's really being asked is that we put our toys in the toy chest, and we can't seem to even make that happen. Got a little doggy right here. Well, guys, I think this is going to be the end of this video. Always remember, you are a quantum being, walking around in quantum energy. You are more grand and spectacular than the pointless job that you work. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars to make sure that you don't realize it, because that would mean that you would be their equal and not their servant. And they can't have that. Rebel. Revolt. Repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.